DynamoDB additional features such as streams and the API calls for writing data and reading data, the locking, it has optimistic locking and conditional updates and a few best practices. Let's go over this. So DynamoDB Streams is mean that DynamoDB itself will take all the updates that we do to the data, to the item level data, all the modifications that we do to it, and then it would store this information in a log in a stream way. And then let's say that we want to access this log, it would be stored for 24 hours and would be available for us in near real time. Near real time is not real time, not tens of milliseconds, not milliseconds, could be a little bit more, near real time. So we can then have a Lambda function that would listen to such a stream, and when an event, when something will happen, when a modification to an item level item would happen, our Lambda function would get triggered. So this is a way to listen to changes. Now let's go to API calls. We have API calls for writing data to DynamoDB. We have the put item, we have update item, and in update item, the interesting thing is that we can update only some of the attributes. So if we have 10 attributes for a specific item, we can do only update to a few attributes. This would hopefully save us some latency, not sure. Yes, probably through the network. And in update, another important thing is that we can use atomic counters. So we can have atomic counters in DynamoDB. We can also have conditional writes. And in the late item, we can also do a conditional delete. And we also have batch write item, and then batch get item. In batch write item, in order to save latency, in batch write items, we can write up to 25 items or delete. The maximum is 16 megabytes or 400 kilobytes per item, 16 megabytes for the total write and 400 kilobytes per item. In the batch get item API call, we can get up to 100 items, and each item, it could be up to 16 megabytes. When we do get item API call to DynamoDB, the reads are on, we need to specify the primary key that we want to get. But we know that we don't only have the primary key, we have additional parts of it, like the sort key. So this is where we use the query. So when we do a get item, we need to specify the whole primary key. If we remember, then we said that in DynamoDB, the primary key, if there is a sort key, we have primary key, partition key, and sort key. Let's make some sense of it. Primary key, partition key, and sort key in DynamoDB. The primary key is everything. We need to access a specific line. The partition key is partial because we could have only some of the primary key as the partition key, and it would basically point to multiple items. This is why in get item we specify the primary key, because it's a unique identifier of a row. And this is why in the query we specify the partition key, because it can point to multiple rows. And we can then specify also optionally the sort key in the filter expression object in order to filter only some of the items that have the same partition key. So each item in DynamoDB has the primary key. Multiple items can have partition key. The primary key is the composition of the primary key and the partition key and the sort key if we have them. And in the query, it would return up to 1 megabyte of data, or if we specify the limit for data fetching, then the limit of this data fetching. And we can also do a pagination on the results. We can query the whole table, the local secondary index or the global secondary index. We also have the option in DynamoDB to use optimistic locking. The optimistic locking is done on the client side when we are trying to delete or update an item in order to make sure that we are updating or deleting the latest version of the item. And we also have the ability to do conditional updates. we say this is the condition and update item in the API only if this condition is met.